Hi guys, welcome back to Jonniebee 9458, advocating for mental health awareness, mental health wellness tied to education. It is Monday, October 23rd. Are you guys ready? I am. Here we go. We should be going. Okay, here we go.
On this moment and see your hand on it and know you were here, and I'll testify of the battles you've won, how you were my portion when there wasn't enough, and I'll testify of the seas that we've crossed, the waters you parted, the ways that I've walked, singing, oh, 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 my God did not fail.
Oh, girl. Tell it, girl. Tell it, girl.
It's the story I'll tell. Believing gets hard when options are few. When I can't see what you're doing.
Glory be to God. Thank you, Jesus.
You're the God who comes
Woo, girl.
Oh, but I know that over the years,
Thank you, Jesus.
I'll look back on this moment and see your hand on it and know you were here.
Yes, 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 yes.
And I'll testify of the battles you won. How you were my portion when there wasn't enough. I'll testify of the seas that we've crossed. Yes, I will. The waters you parted, the waves that I walked, singing, oh, my God did not fail. Singing, that's the story I'll
Glory be to God. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Glory be to God.
And all that is left is highest praises.
be to God.
All that is left is highest praises.
Thank you, Jesus.
Sing it,
Thank you,
sing
Jesus.
hallelujah to the rock of ages. All that is left,
Glory be
all
to
that
God.
is left is highest praises. Sing hallelujah to the rock of ages. We'll sing to the rock that's left. All that is left is highest praises.
Glory be to God. Glory be to God.
Sing hallelujah to the rock of ages.
Girl, she's killing it. She's killing it.
And I'll testify of the battles you've won. How you were my portion when there wasn't enough. Providers. And I'll sing the song of the seas that we've crossed. The waters you parted, the waves that I walked, singing, oh, my God did not fail,
Go ahead, girl.
never ever failed me. Oh, it's the story I'll tell. It's my testimony. Oh, I know it is well. Oh, that's the story I'll tell. It's the story I'll tell. It's the story I'll tell.
You guys, my God, give it to her. Give it to her. That lady right there. My God. You guys, so that was Maverick City featuring Naomi Rain. And I got that off of one of my co-workers. Well, you know, I don't work my day job anymore, but you know, I built really strong relationships in the 5 years that I worked at that company. So my co-workers stay in touch with me. So my work boo, yes, I'll be following her on social media. And she played that song, and whenever she plays a song on her social media, I pay attention. She be turning me on to some stuff, and I know Maverick City, but I've never heard that one. That girl is fire. You know, we all have our gifts. Man, I wish I had her gift. That woman can sing. You know, and she's using her voice to testify, right? To be a witness, right? I know that I try to keep religion out of this aspect of things. But again, religion shows up. And again, I'm not trying to convert anyone in what they believe in or don't believe in. I know that we all call our higher powers by different names. We all practice our higher power in different ways. Again, I know that we all have something within us that is greater than us, that we look toward to, you know, get knowledge and wisdom and discernment and, you know, protection and guidance, right? So I try not to like, I don't, I try not to put, I don't even want to say religion, spiritual. I'm not pushing religion. I have to be very careful with that because, like I said, I know that we all call our higher powers by different names. We all practice our higher powers different. I'm speaking on the spiritual nature of it. Um, I don't know if Muslims or the Nation of Islam listen to that kind of music, like spiritual nature. Again, just trying to respect everybody's different beliefs. You guys, my ears are like echoing for some reason. Um, and I don't want to scare anybody away from the true message here and what I am trying to do, which is advocate for mental health awareness, mental health wellness tied to education. Because again, mental health does not discriminate. It does not care what you believe in. It does not care what you call it. It does not care how you practice it. You know, the numbers of people with mental health illnesses is astounding. It really is. And I always knew that, but I guess I never really thought about it. When we tend to go through some things, right, that we don't quite understand, right? Um, like I said, for many years, I did not talk about my mental health illness, even though I worked in areas, like I said, I worked for Women and Infants Hospital. They have a behavioral clinic there for pregnant women. I've worked in the field. I know the number of mental health illnesses out there, but I never really thought about it. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of weird how we just go day by day and we don't really think about the things that affect us. Um, like I said, I've had a mental health illness for many years, and even working in the field, like I downplayed my mental health illness. I didn't talk about it. You just go day by day and you do what you have to do, right? Um, but now that I have spoken up about my mental health illness, and doing the research and the reading and stuff like that, it really takes my breath away. You know, I think the harder part for me is like the culture around it. People's attitudes towards mental health illnesses or people who have mental health illnesses. Um, a lot of people do accept it, and there's a lot of people who don't accept it, who don't acknowledge it. They don't understand it. They have a negative outlook about it, and how they respond to people with mental health illnesses. But there are a lot of people out there who are in touch with their mental health illnesses, and whether they acknowledge it or not, whether they talk about it or not, um, it does affect a lot of us, right? Um, so I know I just jumped right into it, right? That song just really, really took me far, far away. So anyway, like I said, it is Monday, October 23rd, and yes, I had to look because I don't want to give you guys the wrong information. Um, and if this is your first time to my page, Jonniebee 9458, advocating for mental health awareness, mental health wellness tied to education, welcome. Thank you for coming by and visiting me. If you've been here before and you came again to see me, thank you for coming back. And welcome to everyone who's here. Um, so I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about myself. I haven't done that in a while, and I think that is important so that you guys know what this channel is about. So I wrote my first book. Of course, I don't have one here. And it got published, and the title of the book is called God's Gift to You, Book One. Um, and it talks about my journey growing up in Boston, Mass, in the Roxbury and Dorchester sections of Boston, back in the 70s and 80s, where there was like an epidemic of street drugs. And a lot of the young adults that were having children back then and using and abusing drugs, right? Dealing drugs, using drugs. I would like to say that a lot of them had mental health issues that went undetected, whether they knew it or not. Um, and the reason why they went undetected is because society just sees a bunch of young adults like dealing drugs, abusing drugs. And again, I've taught about this in the past. Like sometimes when you have a mental health disease, a lot of the signs and symptoms that could be tied to the mental health disease goes undetected, because if you are using street drugs, a lot of those signs and symptoms could be related to the fact that you are struggling with a drug addiction. So that's my story. Like, when I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, both mom and dad were using and abusing drugs, and they surrounded themselves with people like minded like them. Like everybody around mom and dad were like using and abusing drugs. I lived in a neighborhood where people were dealing drugs, using drugs, abusing drugs. It was really bad, and unfortunately, there was a lot of child abuse in my home, my immediate home. Mom was a single parent with 4 children by 3 different men. Um, None of those men, they would come and go, but they didn't stick around. And they were all using. Um, yeah, so mom had 4 children, single parent, had some underlying mental health issues that went undetected, started using and abusing drugs, and things got really bad for her. And unfortunately, the children suffered through that. So that is what my book, God's Gift to You, Book One, is about. How you know, um, I share with you guys my journey of being born into that, and how it affected not just me but my family members, cause and effect. I teach about that. um it was so bad that by the time I was like probably like 11, the Department of Social Services came in and removed my mother's children from her home. I ended up in protective custody. I was not allowed to have contact with my mom for many years. Um, so my book is my journey of going through all that. What it was like for me living in that neighborhood, living in my mother's household, and then when the state did come and take me away, I share my journey of what it was like being in the custody of the state, and moving around from foster home to foster home, and being in locked facilities, detention centers, schools for girls. And I address in that book, how it affected me. So that's book one. Book two is already written, and as soon as I finish like paying off my book publishing fees to my first book, which I'm doing really good with, right? Um, and then I come up with more finances to get my second book published. I will be sending out my manuscript for my second book, which my second book is going to talk about. So my first book is from like my earliest memories that I can remember as a young child up until 19 years old, where, like I said, it was pretty rough. And then the second book is going to be from 19 years old on, being released from Department of Social Services into the real world, and starting that journey with a child, because I got pregnant at 19 years old. So my second book talks about my journey of, being released from the Department of Social Services, having a child of my own, going back home to Boston because they took me out of Boston. So I was not in Boston for many years. Second book will talk about my journey back home to Boston after being away for so long. Trying to find my family and reunite with my family. Like, I had a child, and although my child knew my foster family very well, I wanted her to know my real family. So it was very important that I went back and looked for my true family. So the second book will talk about that. Um, yeah, it's a lot. The second book also is going to address when I first started having signs and symptoms of my mental health disease in my early 20s. Yeah, it's going to talk about that stuff. Very scary time for me. Um, so, anyway, fast forwarding to today, I did tell you guys the name, title of the song, and the artist who sang the song, Maverick City, featuring, what did I say her name was? My God, that lady had such a gorgeous voice. Um, who did I say she was? Just real quick, guys, because in case you guys want to look it up and hear it again, featuring Naomi. That's N as in Nancy, A-O-M as in Mary, I. Naomi Raine, Raine. Such a beautiful voice. God's gifts. Again, with the title of my book, God's gift to you. It's not about God. It really isn't. Like I said, I'm not trying to convert anyone, or you know, try to get people to like believe in stuff they don't believe in. Um, like I said, I don't want to push religion on anyone. I myself am not a big fan of religion. Yes, I do believe in God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. I like to consider myself to be more of a spiritual person. And I teach about that as well, as far as religion and having a mental health disease, right? I teach about that stuff, and how for many years, my faith and my religious beliefs prevented me from seeking help for my mental health disease, just because of the climate around mental health disease in religion. So that is the main reason why I try to remove religion when I advocate for mental health awareness, mental health wellness tied to education. I try to remove the religious piece because, again, I don't want anybody to, not get the message, um, because they can't get past the religion piece. So that's the purpose of me removing the religious piece. Again, everyone has the freedom to choose who they want to call their higher power and how they want to practice their relationship with their higher power. My main focus is your mental health. Like, I just want people to be well. Um, so, you guys, I really didn't plan anything over the weekend. I know usually I tell you guys I use the weekend to like write scripts and stuff, but I'm going to be as candid with you as I possibly can. I have a mental health disease. My signs and symptoms are like, I could be all over the place. Like, I have recent thoughts. They do not stop. They do not give me a break. Um, I sometimes have to really focus to try to manage the racing thoughts. Okay, they don't go away. I don't get a break from them ever. I just try to, it's a lot of work having a mental health disease. Like, all the things that we have to do to I don't want to say appear to be normal, because really, like, what is normal? um But having a mental health disease, you guys, I be all over the place. I exhaust myself. I be tired myself. Like, I come here and, I look presentable. Like, I'm just a, what's the word I want to use? Um, Maybe I'm superficial. I don't know. Like, hair, clothes, makeup, jewelry, just pretty much just like looking my best because when you look your best, you kind of tend to feel your best, right? Um, and I've always been like a girly girl. Like I've always been into, even in teenage years, I was wearing high heels and mini skirts and pocketbooks and purses and belts and shoes had to match. Um, as a young girl, I was always in the mirror playing with my hair. Mom used to call me Marilyn Monroe, and it was bad. Like, if I couldn't get my hair to be exactly the way I wanted it to be, I would cry. I would go into full anxiety attack. I would go into full panic attack. Um, yeah, to each his own, right? I mean, I'm not like this all the time. Like, I have my days where I don't really care about the hair and the makeup and stuff. Well, I'm older now, but as a young girl, like, that was very important to me. And even as an adult, like, I've had people, like, they'll say to me, oh, you're just about to go to the store and you got to do all that to go to the store. Yes, I don't like to be out in public unless I look my best. It could be related to, like, I know people judge. I know people judge, right? Um, and although we say we don't care about what people say about us, I think sometimes we do. Again, when people say things to us, right, we try not to let it stick, but for some reason with me, like, it will stick. Like, I will process stuff. Um, like constructive criticism. If somebody says something to me, whether I agree with it or not, I still have to take a look at it because sometimes maybe people can see in me something I can't see in myself. So, yes, I have to take that information. I have to process it. I have to figure out, does it apply? Does it not apply? If it doesn't apply, I let it fly. Um, but I try to work on the things that I can work on. Um, yes, part of having a mental health illness, I'm all over the place. Like I said, sometimes I exhaust myself. It's so insane. Like, sometimes I just want to lay down and relax and chill and watch a movie, and I have a hard time with that. I have a very hard time with that. Like, just focusing on watching a movie. It's difficult for me, and I don't know if that's part of what society has done to us. In the work field, you have to be able to multitask. And they expect you, when you're working, you got to be able to go, go, go. You got to get stuff done quick, quick, quick. There's never time to sit. Like, you're always just, I can be full of anxiety at work because there's so much expected for a person to be able to fill the position, to be able to do the job, to be able to keep the job. Um, you know, a lot of things stem from being a little girl with my mom. Like, sometimes I laugh at myself because um, sometimes I try really hard not to be like my mom. And then sometimes I'll catch myself doing something and I'll have to laugh and be like, you are so your mother's daughter. Like, I don't care how hard I try not to be like her. Um, my mom, even though battled the disease of addiction, even though had some underlying mental health illness going on that went undetected, my mom was clean. I'm talking excessively clean. Like, we didn't just get beatings, we were abused. And even as an adult, like, now I notice, like, I will run through my house and clean this house from top to bottom. I'm talking washing down walls, um, pulling stuff out. Just, I'm telling you guys, it's bad. Even though in my younger adult years, when I got my first apartment and became a young mom, like, I had to seek therapy because I didn't want to do to my daughter the things that my mom did to me. Like, yes, I wanted to teach my daughter about cleanliness and neatliness and organizing things and giving her chores and blah blah blah, but I didn't want to beat it into her because that's what was done to me. um we teach and we lead by example and we guide, but there is a balance. Like, some children are just messy people, right? um so learning how to teach my daughter but still allow her to be who she is. And she can tell you, like, that was a struggle. I think to this day my daughter can't live with me because I mean, I've worked on it. I try to be more relaxed, but I'm talking like dishes in the sink. My mom did not play that. I'm like that. I don't like dishes in my sink. I will stress myself out. I will not go to bed until my kitchen sink is empty. Dishes washed, put away. Um, it's bad for me. I live alone and I'm okay with it, but when other people are around me, I have to learn to try to just breathe, take a step back, don't be so hard on them as far as picking up after themselves and things like that. Again, it's a balance. So anyway, I was just telling you guys what it's like to have a mental health disease. Like, I exhaust myself. Sometimes I'll catch myself cleaning so much. I gotta tell myself, like, my God, what are you doing, Johnny? I'm being my mother. I'm being my mother. And I just like to clean. I like having a clean house. I like having a nice house. I do tend to go a little overboard with it, but again, I'm okay with it. It's who I am, and it's not a bad thing. I mean, if I want to clean all day, every day, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing. I do catch myself from time to time. I try to, like, train myself to sit still, watch a movie, focus. It's hard to focus when you have a mental health disease. Like, I'll be over here, over there, over there. Sometimes even when I talk, I'd be over here, I'd be over there. I just be going. I just be going. I know recently I shared with you guys that I have brought new curtains for my living room and they looked beautiful and I liked them. Guys, tell me why I went and brought new curtains again. Only because the other curtains were more summery like. And I loved them, but then I was thinking, like, with the colder weather coming, that I might need something, um, more for the winter. And you guys, so the last curtains I brought, which I loved, loved, loved. I will use them again. I put them away neatly. I folded them up. They're not dirty because I think I only had them in my house for a week or two, so I didn't have to wash them. But they were summery. The colors worked well with my living room, but I felt like they were a little too sheery, like see through. And I don't know. I have this thing about, like, if I'm in my house, right? I don't mind if I can look out the window through my curtains and blinds and see outside, but I don't like nobody looking in on me. I'm very private. It's not paranoia. I'm just a very private person. I don't like it if somebody can see inside my house. Like, especially at night when it gets, like, dark outside and then you have your lights on in your house. Like, I have blinds and curtains, but because the curtains are sheer, I was a little, like, concerned, like, at night in the house, like, when I turn my light on, if people can actually see in my house. They probably can't, but that's just my brain. Um, so yeah, I went and brought some other curtains, which I was hoping would be better suited for the colder months. And yes, they're pretty and I do like them, but they're still sheer. They are sheer. Like, one part is like solid, the middle part is sheer. I like it. Let me show you guys, see if you guys can see that. So yeah, it looks nice. But I only could find the 84-inch, which I really wanted a 36-inch. Like, the last ones I had was 36-inch. These are 84 inches. But I like the curtain, but they didn't have them in the 63 inches, so I brought the 84 inches, and then I kind of like folded them and pinned them up, like I can sew them to make them short like that. Um, but I'm thinking like maybe I'll just leave it pinned for now. That way, when the weather does get colder, I can drop them and let them hang. Because I think sometimes like that whole wall, you can feel a draft. You can feel it's kind of cold. I don't like that in the winter months because when I turn my heat on, right, like I feel like I waste heat. Like a lot of these houses or whatever, like I don't know if they're insulated. I have the newer windows, but depending on who installed those windows doesn't mean they did them right, right? Um, so yeah, just trying to conserve energy through the winter months. When you turn that heat on, right, that electric bill, it'd be ridiculous. Like, yeah, we're not doing that. I obsess over that stuff. Um, so yeah, I ended up changing the curtains again. I like it. It's cute. I don't know how long they're gonna last there, but I just be having fun, enjoying my time out of work. As you guys know, as of 3 weeks ago, I was let go from the company that employed me for the past 5 years, and I know that like with drawing unemployment, like I have to be doing job search and stuff like that. But right now, I really don't want to. Like I worked for the past 7 years uninterrupted, and it feels good to have a break, to not have to get up early in the morning, rush through traffic, punch a clock by 7. And those jobs, they don't care if it's a blizzard. They want you to show up for work. I worked as a DSP, for those who don't know, direct support professional. We work in residential group homes, providing care for young adults who have developmental disorders. When I was teaching you guys about the Be There certificate that I took online, the course I took online, and they put autism under mental health, and I didn't agree with it. Like autism is, they categorized it under mental health as like a mental health illness, and I'm like, autism, a mental health illness? No, I think it's more of a developmental illness, because these young adults, right, yes, they have autism, right, um and some of them may kind of have depression because they have to be away from their families and live in residential group homes. But autism itself, like a mental health illness, no, I think it's more developmental. Like those guys are the smartest people. Like they're amazing. If you've never worked in the field of being a DSP, right? It is so rewarding, like the relationships that you build with them, watching them develop and grow. Um, they're so smart. They're so smart. Um, yes, I'm not gonna sit here and lie and tell you guys that that field is easy, because it is not. Being a direct support professional, that's what DSP stands for. You're going into somebody's home to do their day-to-day things for them that they struggle with getting done, providing personal care to them, and that includes like toiletry, showering, washing their hair, clipping fingernails and toenails, everything that we all do and take for granted. Like we don't even think about those things while we're doing them, right? But there's a lot of people out there in the world who can't, and it doesn't mean that they're not smart. There's just some things that, for whatever reason, they can't do, right? So yeah, and then like you do their shopping, their cooking, their cleaning. It's a lot of work. It's very demanding, um, but it is rewarding. And I guess they just assume that everybody knows this. Like I said, I worked in the medical field my entire life. I worked in doctors' offices and things like that. And 7 years ago, when I decided to switch careers from working in doctor's offices to working as a direct support professional, when I first went and applied for my very first job, like I really had no idea what was involved. Like the person who had suggested that I try this field, she didn't really give me a whole lot of details about it. Um, and when you apply for the position, like they don't really tell you everything that's involved. So it was quite shocking to me, only because, when you work with individuals with autism, developmental disorders, trying to think of that other word, Down syndrome, autism, and there's different levels of autism. Um, anyway, some of them have behaviors, really bad behaviors. I didn't know that when I first applied for a job in that field until I started working and I seen it. And I told you guys, like my first position as a DSP, I was there in that position for 2 years. And I want to say like 2 months, 3 months into it, I would go home and cry. I didn't think I could do it. I was like, oh no, I can't do this. Um, but I don't know, for whatever reason, I stuck it out. I was at that company for 2 years before I moved to the last company I was with for 5 years. Um, yeah, it was quite shocking. Like nobody told me like that they have behaviors, like they get violent. Um, the things that they do are very disturbing. I'm not gonna lie, it was very disturbing. It was very traumatic because I had no knowledge of working in that field or working with individuals who have those developmental disorders. I'm not going to call them mental health disorders. I'm sorry. I don't think they're mental health disorders, even though the researchers categorized autism under mental health disorder. No, I don't agree with that. I think it's more of a developmental disorder. Um, yeah, but they have behaviors like I've had people like bite me, like human bites, like lock onto my arm, full teeth, like bite me. Yes. So yeah, they did give you a they do take you through training before you actually start your position, right? You have to go through what is called safety care, right? And there's like 3 different classes to take for safety care. And it just didn't register to me when I went through safety care. Like they teach you how to, like, if somebody grabs you by the hair, like how to get out of a they call it a hair grab, how to get out of a hair grab. If somebody grabs you by your clothes, how to get out of they call it release, like how to get out of it. If somebody like bites you, like how to get out of it. And I don't know what I was thinking when I was sitting through that class. I was just like, just going along with the flow, like, yeah, okay, whatever. But when it actually happened, like I said, the first 3 months after working my first company for like 2 or 3 months, I'd go home and cry. I was like, I don't think I could do this. But obviously my higher power had different plans. Like, I ended up staying. I worked in that field for 7 years. It, like everything else, it has its good and it has its bad. When it's good, it's great. When it's bad, it's really bad. I'd be like, oh God. I think, okay, so I am in my mid 50s now. So I want to say I started working in this field when I was like 47. I'm young, I'm strong, I can handle it, right? But what it does to you mentally, like to have, like, you're young, you're strong, but you're still in your 40s, and these guys are like 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Like, these are young men who are strong, right? Um, so when they come at you, it's scary. You have to be able to be like quick thinking. You have to be able to move fast. um I have injuries to my body that I sustained. Like this arm, I got into it with this young adult male, and this hand has never been the same. You know, yeah, I have scars on my body from human bite marks. Um, it's physically challenging. Yeah, physically challenging, and just because you survive it, again, the long term effects. Once you injure a certain part of your body, now you have to learn to live with this injury. Like, it doesn't go away, right? Anyway, guys, yeah. I get so mad at society when they be like I see them talking on the news about nurses, praising nurses, nurses this, nurses that, and I'm like, nurses, try being a direct support professional. We do all the things that a nurse does, including like passing meds, right? But nurses don't have to deal with getting their butt whooped every day. I'm sure there are some cases where they might get an unruly patient, in a doctor's office or something. But I'm going to tell you, when I worked in doctor's offices, I never seen anything like I have seen since I've been a direct support professional. Yeah, no. So, it's so annoying when, those first responders, like, doctors, nurses, like where I worked, I was an essential staff. We had to work through the whole pandemic. Like, every individual in our house had COVID twice. And I had to work. I still had to shower them, brush their teeth. Um, you know, yeah, yeah, all that talk in the news about nurses and doctors, and it's like, do they even know about direct support professionals? Do they even know that they exist? Do they even know what they go through? Like, it's such a high stress demanding job. You're passing meds to several people while you are like running through the house trying to get things done, and they tell you not to focus on nothing else when you're passing meds, right? That's what they tell you. But if you're in that room and you're prepping meds and someone in the other room starts banging their head into a wall, right? You got to go tend to that person. You can't just ignore the fact that this person is banging his head through the wall, even though you're passing meds. Anyway, yeah, nurses, huh? Doctors, huh? Yeah, I thank God for the doctors because, God gave them gifts. Like I said, my mental health provider, the scientist, the chemist, like the people who actually mix my drugs, right? They mix my chemicals that I need for my brain, and they put it in this little tiny pill, and it helps, So kudos to the mental health providers and scientists and doctors, like, woo woo. But still, I just, I wanted to shine light on some direct support professionals. I don't think they get enough acknowledgement. I don't think they get enough credit for the crap that they do every day. Um, yeah, enough about that. Like I said, I didn't have anything planned, and I am showing you guys what it's like for a person who has a mental health disease. Yes, I am very smart. I am very educated. I have a lot of experience in life, but this thing here, like, it doesn't care about your money or your education, the color of your skin, um, your social status, like. And I know a lot of people in this world have mental health diseases, whether they acknowledge them or not, whether they talk about it or not. But me, like I said, for many years, I didn't talk about my mental health illness because I didn't want people to know. I was ashamed that I even had a mental health illness. Like, it was hard enough for me to accept that there was something mentally wrong with me. It was hard for me to accept that I had this illness and how it affected my life and how it affected me. And that was hard enough to have to accept. I didn't want to have to worry about telling people, like, about my mental health disease, right? And when I finally did, after writing my book, God's Gift to You, Book One, I started speaking about it. Like, and it still amazes me because as I look back over my life, like all the jobs I lost, being homeless a few times, that being active in addiction had nothing to do with because I had years clean. The causes and the effects of having a mental health disease, having to work every day, having to be around people all day, every day, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, trying to hide your flaws, trying to hide the signs and the symptoms that would pop up during the day when you're interacting with other people. It was exhausting. It was exhausting. Um, and I'm gonna tell you, I have found so much freedom since I started talking about my mental health disease. Like, you know, um, I was hoping that it would help people to understand better, like people that I work with, like my coworkers and stuff, when they see me go through changes, right? Um, I had to let them know, like I didn't for many years when I was younger, and I suffered in silence. But now that I'm speaking up about it, like, yeah, I have to let people know, like, when you see me go through something, it's because I have a mental health illness. I can't control it. I mean, I can try to work on it as much as I can. Um, it was difficult. It was difficult. Like, I just couldn't deny it anymore. I couldn't keep it in secret. Like, I got tired of losing jobs, and I was hoping by speaking up about my mental health illness and being open about it that, people would try to not not have sympathy for me, because I don't like people to feel sorry for me. I don't think it's anything to feel sorry about, but to just be able to understand, my behavior, my actions on days when I'm like flying all over the place, or some days I'm quiet or withdrawn. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. Um, so by speaking about it at work, I mean, it didn't change the outcome, right? It didn't change the outcome of things, but I just don't want people to think that I'm a mean person, or I'm being mean to them, or I try to give people a better understanding of things. And sometimes it has nothing to do with my mental health disease. Sometimes I'm dealing with other people who either may have a mental health disease, or, miscommunication. Like when you work all day with a bunch of people, right? And it's a lot of personalities jumping off in there. You'd be like, oh God, what's happening right now? Yes, it's not easy for anybody. But when you have a mental health illness, right? My thing in my younger years, right, when I worked in doctors' offices, for people to yell at me. As soon as somebody starts yelling at me, I start bawling my eyes out, because I remember being a little girl and having my mother scream at me at the top of her lungs for God knows what. Like, I couldn't understand why this woman screamed at me all the time. And it wasn't just me. Like, she just screamed. Like, obviously there was some things going on with her as far as her mental health, as far as her physical symptoms of, she was in active addiction, and maybe when, you know she couldn't get the drug of choice, right? Like her body would go through withdrawal symptoms. She would be in physical pain, and she would just scream all the freaking time, and I couldn't understand why when I was a little kid. So even as an adult, when people tend to yell at me, I cry. I just cry. I cannot help it. Sometimes I cry when my anxiety kicks in. Like sometimes my anxiety will go way up here, and I'm trying to bring it down, and I'm trying to control it. And when I fall short, I cry. I get overwhelmed. Like, I don't like having to go through that. I don't like, when my mind and body does things that I can't control. I get overwhelmed. I start to cry. Um, yeah, it's bad. It's bad. I don't even know how I worked all these years without going out on Social Security disability, but I've got fired a lot. I've been homeless a few times. And that's a whole traumatic experience in itself. Anyway, guys, I know I'm telling you, I'm just trying to talk to you guys so that you guys can get to know me and, you know, use what I tell you as information or resource for yourself. Um, I'm sure I'm not the only one that has a mental health illness that goes through things that we can't control. We don't like going through them. We don't like when they happen to us. But we cannot deny who we are. Like, there's no quick fix to a mental health illness and how it affects us mentally, physically, um, environmentally. It's a lot. It's a lot. Anyway, I wanted to say thank you to people who have been supporting me, who continue to purchase my book, God's Gift to You, Book One. I wanted to share with you guys, like, I was out at the dollar store shopping, looking for things to decorate my house with, right? And I found a bookstore in my neighborhood, right? Now, this is what I mean by God's gift to you. We're not talking about the religion aspect, guys. We're talking about the gifts that we get out of things. Like, there's good and bad in everything, right? Even when I tell you my story about my childhood growing up, yes, there was a lot of bad, but there was some good things that came out of it. And you know, my reason for like telling you guys like stuff about me is because I also tell you guys about the good things, right? Like, there's good and bad in everything. And you have to look for the good things, like the little gifts that God gives us along the way, right? So I was out shopping, right? And I go by this plaza all the time, right? I never really went in the plaza. I usually just drive by it. Maybe that's why I never really noticed it there, right? Anyway, so I seen a dollar store, a Family Dollar in the plaza. I actually went out to I gotta slow my brain down, guys, because that's another thing with my mental health, like with the recent thoughts. They go by so fast. Center of New England Boulevard. So it's up on Center of New England Boulevard doing some business. There's a Walmart up there, and some other stuff up there, right? I'm familiar with that area. I go there all the time. So I was coming back from Center of New England Boulevard, going home like I normally do all the time. And on my way home, I noticed a Family Dollar. So I'm like, well, let me go and look in this Family Dollar. It's, you know, I've never been in there before. Maybe they have some nice stuff. I'm going to go take a look. I go in the plaza. I go into Family Dollar. I look around. I didn't really see anything, but I did notice that the soap that I use, right, that I usually buy at a Stop and Shop for $10 was $7 at the Family Dollar. That same soap, right? $7. I saved $3. I'm like, yes. I didn't go in Family Dollar for the soap. I went in there just to look around. I was looking for some other stuff. I seen the soap and I was like, oh my God, let me grab one of these. I come out of the dollar store and I actually think I got in my car and I was driving out the parking lot to leave and I noticed a bookstore. And I was like, oh my goodness. I go in the bookstore to look around. I'm so excited. It smells new. You can smell the books. You can smell the paper. You can smell the ink. I know I'm so weird, guys, right? I'm going to tell you, there's nothing more exciting than opening a new book. Like the sensory of it all, like the smell of it, the feel of it, you know, the content, you know, you're going to like get a good story or something interesting or exciting, right? So I go in the store and I'm looking around and I'm so excited. I'm like, oh my God, like, oh, how long you guys been there? They only been there for like a little over a month, less than 2 months, maybe like a month and a week. They said they were a new bookstore. They just opened up like a month ago, right? Well, no wonder I never seen it driving by that street, right? So I start talking to them and telling them that I'm a new published author and about my book. Do you know they decided to stock their store with my books? Yay me! Yes, so they actually stocked my books. So there's a new bookstore in New London Square Plaza. I don't know if that's like West Warwick or Coventry because there is a line. Like if you're going to Walmart and on Center of New England Boulevard, coming back to West Warwick, there is a line that crosses over from West Warwick to Coventry. It's very close to each other. Anyway, and the name of the bookstore is called Stillwater Books, right? I just love the name, Stillwater. Stillwater. Oh my God. So yeah, they decided to stock my books. So I gave them some books and it worked out. Let me tell you, God is so good because I did not leave my house today thinking about doing any of my advertising, marketing, or promoting of my book. Like, that was not the plan, but you see how that worked out? So that was exciting. Anyway, I wanted to tell you guys how I identified the song that I played. Maverick City, Rain, Raine, Rain, and her first name was, what did I say her first name was? I have a lot going on in this head of mine, guys. I can't help it. It overwhelms me. So her name was Naomi Rain, right? I'll tell you my story. And that's pretty much like why I picked that song because this is my story. Like, me being here on YouTube, advocating for mental health awareness, mental health wellness tied to education. Like, this is a part of my story. This is something I never wanted to do and never considered doing and never even thought about doing. But since I wrote my first book, God's Gift to You, Book 1, I never even wanted to write that book. I told you guys, like, probably when I was like in my 30s, it was suggested to me that I write a book about my life, and I was like, yeah, we're not doing that. And then it was brought up to me again in my 40s, and I'm like, yeah, we're not doing that. Writing my book and telling my story, I didn't think I would ever do that. There's things in that book I thought I would take to my grave with me, right? But that is where God led me when I got in my 50s and the pandemic hit. And having that communication, that open communication with my higher power, and just, really talking to him during that pandemic about where my life was going, and what was his plan for me. And he told me to write that book, and I sat at my table and wrote that book in 3 weeks, 245 pages that they managed to get down to 200 pages. But I know that was nothing but my higher power because I never wanted to reveal those things. And since I've done that, I started speaking up more about my mental health illness, and then decided that I'm going to advocate for mental health awareness, mental health wellness tied to education. Like, I wrote the book so you guys know my past, my story of what it was like for me growing up as a kid, and what led me to having a mental health illness. And again, like, not wanting to talk about it, not wanting to put it out there. Again, all my higher power. This is where he has me. I'm letting him like guide me. Like, we had this conversation, me and my higher power, about my life, and what was the meaning of it all, and what's the purpose and what's the plan. And this is what he told me to do. So I started doing it, and I'm gonna tell you, it's the best thing I've ever done so far. All those years that I went through stuff, right? And just going about life and just trying to figure it out and do the best I can, right? Um, and there was a purpose in it all. Being able to speak up about my mental health illness and share my journey, my struggles, the good, the bad, helping other people to learn to be okay with who they are. You know, if they have a mental health illness, like the people who suffers in silence, and we struggle. It's a struggle. It's not easy, and I know that people struggle every day. But I'm gonna tell you, when you have a mental health illness, like if you don't have a mental health illness, thank God. Thank God. That's all I can say, because it is not easy. But, the gift to me is that, like, I am able to maintain it. I'm able to manage it. Like I said, my sister lost her battle with her mental health illness at the age of 35. I have two brothers that are still here on this earth, and I don't think mentally they're doing that well, but they're alive. I mean, any day above ground is a good day, right? But because I am in touch with my mental health illness, I am aware of it, I acknowledge it, I address it, my lifestyle is better. My lifestyle is better. And I'm not saying I never had moments where I struggled. I did, with homelessness and all that. But I know now that there are things in this world that I don't have control over, and stuff is going to happen, right? But God always puts me back in the place where I'm supposed to be. And I'm grateful for that. Um, so I want to talk about something that happened to me a little while back ago, and I did share about this. So when I started my journey, right, I wrote my book, God's Gift to You, Book One. It got published, and my publishing company suggested that I start. I create a professional Facebook page. Is it Jonniebee Hopkins author? You guys, I'm telling you, I have so much on my brain, I can't even figure out my own stuff sometimes. So, yeah, so it's Jonniebee Hopkins author, and I get confused about it because my actual first name is Johnny Belinda. Like, a lot of people break it and put like my first name, my middle name, last name, Johnny Belinda Hopkins. But no, my whole first name is Johnny Belinda. I have no middle name. And I didn't even really figure that out to years later. That's another story. I think I share that story with you guys. Anyway, so that's why I get confused when I tell you guys the name on my Facebook page. It's Jonniebee Hopkins. My whole name is Johnny Belinda, and I don't always like using the whole name because it's too long. It's too long of a name. So I usually just go with Johnny. But then my dad is like, "Oh, why you don't use your whole name?" I'm like, "Dad, it's too long." The only one who actually calls me my whole name, Johnny Belinda, are the elders in my family. They're the only ones, the elders. Um, I've always gone by just Johnny. But if people ask me, I would tell them, yeah, my whole name is Johnny Belinda. Anyway, guys. So, yeah, so my professional Facebook page, Jonniebee Hopkins author, was suggested that I do that by my publishing company to advertise, market, and promote my book. And since I've done that, I'm like, well, why not also use social media to advocate for mental health awareness, mental health wellness tied to education? So that's what I started doing, right? And then, like, certain family members, like, started talking, and they was like, oh, why is she doing that? She must be lonely. Like, and again, here I go, right? Where we're at that point where we don't really care what people say about us, but sometimes we do, right? So when they started saying these things, I was like, well, wait a minute. Like, I am doing this using social media to advertise, market, and promote my book, and also advocate for mental health awareness, mental health wellness type education. By me doing that, you guys think I'm lonely? Like, what the hell is that, right? So at first, you put up them dukes and you're like, I'm not lonely. I got this going on. I got this going on. I got my higher power. Um, and again, I think it's so sad how society is set up, because let me tell you, I have a cousin who did the same thing. She wrote a book. She went on social media and nobody criticized her. They praised her. Praised her, right? When I did it, they said I was lonely. How dare them, right? So, of course, I went on the defense. Like, I had to let people know, like, you know, the reason why I use social media is because I wrote a book. I use social media to advertise, promote, and market my book, which was suggested by my publishing company that I do so. And then I figured, well, why not use social media to also advocate for mental health awareness? Now here I go explaining myself, right? Now I didn't let these people get all up in my head, right? And now I'm like defending myself. Like, why do we feel the need to do that? Like, first of all, it's none of your business. It's none of your business. Why do I need to explain why I post on social media? And then I was like, oh, I'm not lonely. I have A, B, C, D, blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to tell you the truth, right? Because I let these people get up in my head, right? And have me off and running, right? And trying to defend myself. And, don't they know who I am? Like, I'm in my mid-50s. I don't wear a lot of makeup. I have on some eyeshadow, eyeliner, mascara. This is my hair. There's nothing pinned in there. There's nothing taped in there. Like, this is my hair. Again, I'm not skinny, but I am definitely not fat. I'm a woman in my 50s who have gone through menopause, and most people know once women go through menopause, they gain weight. I also have been on an antidepressant for decades, and anybody who knows anything about mental health medications, antidepressants are known to make you gain weight. But me saying all that is like, I still look decent for a 50-something-year-old woman, right? I can get a man anytime I want. Is that what they mean by I'm lonely? Like, I have a full life. Even though I lost my job 3 weeks ago, I have my own place. I love decorating my home, playing with it, experimenting with it, changing curtains, cleaning. I have friends who love me, who care about me, who support me. I was in a relationship with someone for a year. Still dealing with that. I don't know what that's about, but anyway, I have a grown daughter. I have a 7-year-old grandson. They do not leave me lonely. And like I said, I have men hitting me up on social media all the time because I'm on social media advertising and promoting and marketing my book and advocating for mental health awareness. So I don't know what the what's the word I want to use? The motive is behind these young men hitting me up on social media, because some people have motives, right? They're looking for something, whatever. I don't know. I don't think social media is a good place to meet men. Like, if I meet you in person through a friend or at work or somewhere, you know what I mean? Like, but to meet someone on social media who I don't even know, like, yeah, we're not doing that. And I know they have dating websites, right? I did experiment with one of those during the pandemic, and I did meet someone, but I decided I didn't want to be in a relationship with that person, and I told him we can just be friends. Like, I don't mind meeting people. I don't mind having friends. I have 2 men that I deal with. Now, mind you, I said 2 men that I deal with. I didn't say sleep with. There's a difference, okay? So, yes, one of them is the guy I was with for a year. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him, like, when I was in my 20s. Even though I don't know where we are with that relationship. He thinks we're still in a relationship. I don't know. And the other guy, I was in a relationship with off and on for like, I don't know, 10 years. We do not sleep together, but we are friends. I look to him sometimes. I lean on him. I consider him a friend. He is in recovery. He has like 30 something years clean. I am a recovering addict. I have 18 years clean. I met him in my program. We were together off and on for like 10 years. And yes, I don't deal with him in that way anymore, but we are still friends. I do not burn bridges if I can help it. If I'm with a guy, long as you don't put your hands on me and you're not abusive to me, like yes, we can break up and still be friends. There are some guys that I dated that I have no contact with because they were not good for my mental health, and no, we're not doing that. Um my point in saying all that, right, is like, I don't know why we let people get up in our heads and just send us, like, especially when, like, me, like, I'm an overthinker. I don't know if that's part of my mental health disease, but I'm an overthinker. I will drive myself insane trying to figure it out, looking at it from different angles. Um, oh my God, to the point that I have to just surrender because I will make myself nuts. Um, so yes, I have a lot of options when it comes to dating. And when I originally said that I was not lonely, at that time I wasn't. But do I get lonely? Yes, sometimes I do get lonely. Even like, you know, again, I don't want to offend anybody with religion, right? But I do believe in God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. And everybody, like, no matter who you call your higher power by, right? No matter how you practice your relationship with your higher power, all higher powers come with tools, right? For Muslim people, they have the Quran, right? Buddhism, I don't know what they have because I'm not Buddhist, right? But my higher power, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, has a tool called the Holy Bible. I've read my Holy Bible from front to back several times and study it daily, right? And he even talks about people being lonely. Like, I don't know why these people, because they said, oh, why she's doing this, she must be lonely, that I felt like I had to defend myself and be like, I'm not lonely. I have days where I'm not lonely, but yes, I have days when I am lonely. And I don't know if that's normal for people to feel that way, but I do know, according to what my tool that comes with my higher power, the Bible says about loneliness. People get lonely. Like, we're human. Like, yes, I can be in a relationship if I want to be. I choose not to be because of my mental health, because, again, I teach about that. Dating after 50. There was a time in my younger years I was with someone for 18 years. I haven't been in a long-term relationship like that since that relationship. Do I get lonely? Sometimes. I do. And shame on people for saying that because I post on social media. I'm lonely. Loneliness has nothing to do with me posting on social media. And here I go trying to defend myself. I don't know, guys. We live in such a crazy world. We live in such a crazy world. Like, I have a cousin who wrote a book, used social media platforms to advertise, market, and promote her work, and everyone praised her for it. I did it. The family said I was lonely. And I ran with it for a minute. I got defensive and blah, blah, blah. And, I had to surrender to it. We just live in a crazy world that people are going to say and do what they want to say and do, right? But we can't let it stop us from what God tells us to do. Um, Yeah, so I mean, everything is about perspective. And we just got to be careful, like letting people change our perspectives about things. So anyway, guys, it is 1:20. I didn't really have a show planned, but like I said, I show up Monday through Friday, and I sit here for almost an hour and a half just to be visible, to people, letting them in as I navigate through my journey of dealing with life with a mental health illness, all the things that come with it, the good, the bad, the ugly. I had a kind of like anxiety panic attack. Was that this past weekend? And I think I did posted about it. Um, it happens. It happens. Like there's so much in this world, and being an overthinker and trying to be careful not to hurt people, step on people's toes. You can't always please everybody, and some of us we do. We try, but it's like then you get bumped into feelings because it's exhausting trying to please everybody and you're like, "Well, wait a minute. Why am I even doing this?" So just be easy with yourself, guys. Know that you're not going to please everybody. You shouldn't have to please everybody. None of us are perfect, right? Like these people, right? What are their lives like? They're sitting here criticizing me and talking and like, what are their lives like? This is my life. I didn't ask to be here. None of us did. We didn't make this world. We didn't ask to come into this world, but here we are. And there is a lot on this earth to deal with. And all you can do is the best you can do, right? In my hopes in sharing about my mental health illness and advertising for mental health awareness, mental health wellness tied to education is trying to give people understanding about mental health illnesses, give them different perspectives. Again, for people who don't have a mental health disease, right? Instead of like judging people and criticizing people and tearing people down, like try to get to know that, like the reasons why that person is the way they are. Maybe there's some things going on you know nothing about. Um, and I'm not the only one with a mental health illness. Like there are millions of people with mental health illnesses, and even if you don't have a mental health illness, maybe you have like a parent or a child or a sibling or a loved one, a friend who does have a mental health illness. Like, do you say stuff like that to your friends or your loved ones about the things that they do? um you know for people who don't have a mental health illness, like this is a place you can go and get educated about mental health illnesses so that you can better support your friend or your loved one. You know, a lot of people, they don't even address their mental health issues. They just go through life like with that attitude, like, I'm a boss and I'm this and I'm that. Like, please, I don't have time for all that. Um, so yeah, that's why I played that song. Maverick City, Rainey. I know her name. Naomi Rainey, right? The story I'll tell. Like, I don't even know how I get through a lot of stuff that I go through. All I can say is, it has to be the work of my higher power because I know that I would not have made it this far without him. And I'm grateful to that. And I don't care what you guys call your higher power or um, how you practice your relationship with your higher power. I do now know that we all need something within us greater than us because there's going to be some times on this earth that you're going to just be like, my God, like what is going on, right? Um, thank God for higher powers. I don't know how I would have made it this far. And I'm not perfect in a lot of ways, but I'm going to tell you, for a person with a mental health illness, I think I'm doing daggone good. I think I'm doing beyond good. Like, There's so many people that suffer from a mental health illness, and I used to be one of them, but I don't suffer anymore. I manage it. I get through it. I understand what it is. I know that I'm never going to be cured. It's never going to go away, right? So I have to learn about my mental health illness and how it affects me, and how I can continue to manage life with my mental health illness, right, to the best of my ability. Um, I have to learn not to be so hard on myself, and you know, not take into account what everybody says to me, because I knew this would happen. I knew, like, when my higher power told me to start speaking up about my mental health illness, he already told me I would get some negative pushback from it, and he already prepared me for it, right? But there was a time that, I wanted to run back in that corner, and my higher power said, no, you got to keep going. So I continue to show up. That's about it. That's about all I have for you guys today. Again, even if I don't have a planned show, like, I'm still going to show up and sit here for an hour and a half, and, check my comments, and, respond to comments. If somebody's reaching out to me, whether on my YouTube channel or on my professional Facebook website. I also have a personal Facebook page. I also am on Instagram and TikTok. So yeah, if people are in a situation where they're struggling with their mental health illness, whether it's just trying to understand the signs and symptoms, the cause, the effects, they're having a tough day, they leave me a message, I'm going to respond. I'm going to respond. Like, I went through my journey of mental health awareness to mental health wellness by myself. I didn't have people to support me. I mean, they did support me, like, when they would see me go through stuff, but they didn't really understand, and I still don't think they do. Even though they know I have a mental health disease, even though they know it affects not just my mind and my body, but my life, and they'll see me go through stuff, and they still don't get it. They still don't get it, even though they know I have a mental health disease. I don't think people really know what that means. So that's why I show up. Anyway, guys, hour and a half. I know I rambled on, but like I said, even though I didn't have anything planned for the show, I wanted to still show up and still be here for an hour and a half, showing up, being here to support others through their mental health awareness, mental health wellness tied to education journey. I don't want to keep losing people to their mental health illnesses. Like I said, of all the services that they offer on social media, this one is about life and death. It's about somebody living and somebody dying. I think it's very important to acknowledge people with mental health illnesses, to show up, to support them, to guide them, to help them on their journey so that they don't feel alone, right? Anyway, guys, maybe I'll have a better show planned tomorrow. I be like so busy during the day. It's hard for me to sit still. It's hard for me to focus. It is what it is, right? Anyway, guys, I hope you guys will come visit me again. Thank you for being here with me today, and have a wonderful evening. Good night. Be well. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.